No one's putting a gun to your head and making you watch my video, right? Right? If you are being held hostage and being tortured to watch these videos, please let me know so I can send you some help, because nobody deserves that kind of suffering. Welcome to my new apartment. I just moved in and I have basically a lot of unpacking to do. You just can't see it because it's all hidden here. I can try to just kill two birds with one stone and do a tag while I'm at it. You also get the very fun job of watching me hang up my clothes. So it's really gonna be a party over here. These are my Hello Kitty PJs, so you're really gonna see all there is about my life. Last time I did a tag, it was the Real Talk Booktuber tag. I said that I would do kind of like a part 2 because there have been recent developments that have evolved the way that I view the community. To be honest, I'm kind of jaded by Booktube due to recent things that have happened. I realized that there is a separate tag called the Honest Booktuber tag, where some of the questions are about what I have been thinking lately. So I'm gonna do the Honest Booktuber tag while I fold up my sexy grandma underwear. This is the content you came here for, folks. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Have you ever lied about reading a book? When I first read this question, I was like, why would anyone lie about reading a book? But I thought more about it and I realized that I actually have. When I was in school, I never read any book. I was basically illiterate because I was lazy. And for some reason, if a teacher told me to read a book, that just killed any desire for me to read it. It's very ironic because I only started reading more avidly after I graduated college and I actually had the time to read. And I think it's because once you're not forced to read books, suddenly it's way more appealing. Back in school, whenever I got assigned a book, I would literally just Google it and read the Spark Notes. English class was like the #1 class where I would just bullshit everything. We would have these discussions where you would have to talk about the themes of the book and what you thought about the book. What I would do is I would listen to what the other students in the discussion would say about the book, and then I would add on to what they said. I was that asshole in school. My reading journey was backwards compared to other people because most people now, when they see that you read books, they're always like, oh man, I wish I had time to read books. I used to read books so much when I was younger. And I feel like I went the opposite trajectory where I never read any books when I was younger, but now that's pretty much my only hobby. Wow, this is getting really sad. Have you ever avoided a book because of controversy around the content/author? I have actually been lucky to not have been interested in any book or author that has started controversy. So I've never had that kind of dilemma. I remember Rainbow Rowell, or however you pronounce her name, got into some kind of like hot water because she wrote Eleanor and Park, which had some racist implications towards Asian people. And now with her new book coming out, some people were saying that you shouldn't support that book because she's written racist books in the past and she hasn't apologized for it. And then there were some people that were conflicted because they wanted to read the book, but they didn't want to support a racist author. Some of my booktube friends were asking me like, do you think it's okay if I read Carry On? And I'm like, bitch, I don't know. I'm not the spokesperson for all Asian people. I don't gotta worry about that because I'm not even interested in any of Rainbow's books anyway, regardless of her being racist. So maybe the lesson is just have better taste and then you won't like controversial authors. Have you ever been sent a book for free and not disclosed it? No. You guys already know how much of a cheap ass I am. I think if you ever see me own a book, you should automatically know that I got sent that for free. Have you ever bought a book with no intention of reading it? Why would I do that? Wait, actually, this question would apply to school. I have bought books for school when I was more naive and thought that I would read it, and I ended up not reading it. I think this tag really makes me appreciate that I am no longer in school. Have you ever got caught up in booktube drama? This is the question where I'm gonna go in depth about it because this is part of the reason why I am very jaded by the community now. Although it might just be book Twitter because that place is so fucking toxic. Speaking of toxic, did you know that I own a pair of Crocs? These Crocs elicit a very strong reaction from people. People either think it's really cute or they fucking hate it. I'm pretty sure most of the people watching this will think it's ugly, but fuck it. These are comfortable, okay? Yes, I'm one of the bitches who wear Crocs. These are the perfect shoes to wear when you go to the beach. It's okay for them to get wet because they're rubber, and if you get sand on them, they slip right off. I've had these babies ever since college and they have done me so well. But yeah, I've been kind of jaded by the community community recently, and it actually happened because I got involved in drama that I never fucking signed up for. It happened because a lot of people got their panties in a twist. You see that? You see what I did there? Is this gonna get demonetized? I've been involved in 2 booktube drama-ish that I know of. The first was Book of the Month YA sent out an email to pretty much everybody that lived under the sun and their mother to become an affiliate. I decided not to be an affiliate, but I still did a sponsored video, which means that I still worked with Book of the Month YA. Because a lot of people were promoting Book of the Month, there was a small booktuber that I follow and really love who made a joke tweet poking fun at how everybody was talking about Book of the Month. I knew that she was joking about it, so I replied back to her tweet joking alongside with her, where I made fun of myself. I said, don't forget to use the code FLEX to get whatever discount you want. I don't fucking remember. But that was an actual quote that I said for my video because I was one of the many people that worked with Book of the Month. Emma replied to that tweet also making fun of herself because she worked with Book of the Month, except she had a different discount code. And so she was just poking fun at herself by once again, quoting herself for a line that she actually used. We were essentially just making fun of ourselves because we were aware that this was oversaturated, and we were aware that we were one of the many people that was promoting the service. For some fucking reason, this caused like this whole debacle where a bunch of people were subtweeting about how big booktubers were making fun of smaller booktubers for getting this opportunity. This was super bizarre to me because it was very clear that we had worked with Book of the Month. We never said anything about small booktubers. The person who created the tweet originally is a small booktuber. So there was just no connection for why anyone should think that we were making fun of small booktubers for something that we have done. For a day or two, book Twitter got all caught up in arms about small booktubers versus big booktubers and how big booktubers are so snobby and they always look down on small booktubers that belittle them and demean them. I think there were just so many leaps of logic that you would have to make to think that I would make fun of small booktubers. I've always given shout outs to small booktubers whenever I hit a milestone, and when small booktubers were trying to apply to be an affiliate, I also was helping them sign up through the form and explaining to them how the application worked and telling them how to write their emails. Like, I was helping other people out. But even if you didn't know any of that context, if you just read the tweet and then you just click on my Twitter and see all the other stupid bullshit that I write, you would know that 90% of the jokes that I write are self-deprecating towards me. It was really weird for people to consider me to be some big booktuber that belittled and was a total asshole to small booktubers. I even remember there was this one vlog that I was literally writing a comment to congratulate her on becoming a Book of the Month affiliate, and then literally right when I was writing that comment, she started talking about the drama that happened and called me an asshole. And I was like, oh, guess I'll backspace and then just not comment on the video. And I was thinking about why people made such a huge leap of logic to even think that I would so openly insult small booktubers and ignore all of these other facts about me, that I've always shouted out small booktubers and that I'm friends with a lot of small booktubers. And I realized that it's because so many people in the booktube community are so preoccupied by numbers. I realized this because if you are on book Twitter, pretty much like every day, there's always someone who is talking about how many subscribers that they got, or like they reached a new milestone or whatever. At first, it's like, yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. I'm glad that you're excited about this. But then I realized that people are putting so much emphasis on their subscribers as like a form of success. If their videos don't get enough views, people will also tweet about how bummed they are. I didn't really think anything of it, but now that I look at the bigger picture, I see that so many people are constantly talking about numbers and tracking how many subs they're getting every day. That warps the way that you view things, because in this case, people just view me by my numbers instead of who I am as a person. I think people looked at me and thought, she's a big booktuber, therefore she must be making fun of small booktubers, instead of just seeing me as a person who regularly makes self-deprecating jokes about myself. That's why there's so many discussion videos too about how to grow your channel or how to make better thumbnails, or even like more analytical videos about how white creators will be more successful than people of color. That success is based on numbers. So when a person of color sees that their videos do not have as many views as their white counterpart, they see that as like a sign of failure, because again, you're putting so much weight onto how many views your video got and how many subscribers that you have. What's been interesting for me is that my channel has grown really quickly in a year, which is a very unusual trajectory, and is even more unusual that a person of color could reach that trajectory so quickly. On one hand, this is cool because this just started as like a dumb hobby and I didn't think anything would come out of it. But on the other hand, there's downsides to growing so quickly and blowing up so quickly. I feel like the bigger you get, the less people see you as a human being, and they read a tweet or they see a video and they think that this represents something bigger rather than this is just a person being a dumb fucking nerd. When you're the kind of person who obsesses over numbers, is constantly checking how many subscribers they have, is working so hard to build up their channel, and then you see this fucking Skrillex chink who doesn't even fucking buy books and films in front of a boring ass white wall, and then she just blew up that quickly, that fucking sucks. I think that makes it very easy to be resentful of that. I've always approached booktube as something that is dumb fun. Like, it's something that's nerdy and it's not something that's meant to be taken seriously. What I've come to realize is that a lot of people take it really seriously, which is totally fine. Like, if you're trying to pursue YouTube as like a legit thing, good on you, good luck with the hustle. But when people project their insecurities or their issues or their frustrations onto me, that makes me feel uncomfortable, because it makes me feel like I have been put into a competition that I never signed up for. The fact that people take so much pride in being an affiliate or getting sponsored or whatever, to the point where they would feel threatened if they see a tweet and think that someone is making fun of them, shows how people's priorities are so misplaced. And it really shows how capitalism is so entrenched everywhere that you would contribute your success to whether you can sell something that a company is promoting rather than just talking about books. Sponsorships are fun to do, but they're like fun money. They don't mean anything. And if you take it seriously, that means capitalism is winning. The most recent drama that I got involved in, at least I hope is the most recent as of posting this, is from my video where I talked about how I read my airplane seatmate's book that she brought along. I was on a flight and I ran out of books to read, so I asked the lady next to me if I could read her book. The book that she brought along happened to be a trashy romance book that she cared so little for that she insisted on me keeping it. I read the book and it was basically a series of events that were so nonsensical that it was funny. So I just made a silly little video about it, poking fun at how the events in this book were completely implausible and the plot made no sense whatsoever. And that was it. You know, it was just like a dumb, silly video. I titled my video something along the lines of, I read my airplane seatmate's trash romance book and it was a mistake. Just like how if she had been carrying an unknown YA book, I would have titled it, I read my airplane seatmate's trash YA book and it was a mistake. You know, like if it's an unknown book, I will commonly refer it to the genre. And if it's like a funny, nonsensical book, I'm gonna call it trash. The next day after I posted that video, I saw a lot of people subtweeting me about it. They were basically saying that I was demeaning the romance genre and that I was trashing romance readers across the world. People were calling me a hypocrite. People were saying like, how can you defend basic booktubers but then also make fun of romance readers? And I'm like, sis, what are you even talking about? I read one bad romance book. I'm not talking about the whole genre. There were some really nice people that did come to my defense and say that, hey, I don't think she had any malicious intentions. I think she was just making fun of this one book. But people who were upset by it were saying that it's different because it's coming from me, who isn't a romance reader. And then it launched into this whole discussion about how if you're not into romance, you shouldn't read romance books. It was really weird to see this reader gatekeeping, to say that if you are not a romance reader, you should not read the genre if you're gonna hate it. But how do I know if I'll like it if I don't try it out? This is another thing where people are just seeing me as a caricature rather than a human being. Because if you did know me as a person and you have watched my videos, you would know that I talk about romance a lot in books. I don't necessarily read the romance genre, but when I read like a sci-fi book or a fantasy book, if I'm really into the romance, I will gush about it and I will rate it 5 stars. I also watch a lot of romance movies, and I grew up reading shoujo manga that is basically the cheesiest romantic stories ever. And I have a video about my romance manga recommendations too. So even though I don't necessarily read the genre, I definitely think that I am the kind of person who could easily like it if I read the right books. I literally just sat next to a woman who happened to be reading a romance book, and I had nothing else to read. And yet for some reason, there were a small group of people that I guess thought that I was oppressing romance readers everywhere and furthering the stigma that romance readers must face. I understand that there's a stigma against romance readers, and I understand that because there's a lot of stigma against YA readers as well. But it was really weird to see all of these subtweets from people who have never once even tried to talk to me about it. I'm gonna block out their names because obviously I don't want them to get any hate or whatever. But I wanted to show the tweets to show what I mean, that people are writing these really passive aggressive tweets about me and talking openly about me without even just simply messaging me and being like, hey, I didn't like the way that you titled your video. It could have easily been resolved if any one of those people had just messaged me about it and had a conversation, and I would have been like, oh shit, I'm sorry, my bad. They could have given me like romance book recommendations, and I could have walked away with some bomb ass books to read, and that could have been it. But instead, nobody messaged me about it at all. Instead, people just passive aggressively wrote tweets about me, I guess assuming that I wouldn't read it. And I feel like if you are upset that someone is supposedly misunderstanding the genre or giving it a bad name, and you're not telling them about it, but instead just having a very one-sided announcement to throw shade at that person on Twitter, it's not even about educating that person or clearing things up about the genre or trying to destigmatize it. It's more so about putting yourself on a pedestal and feeling like you're campaigning for something. But is it really productive or effective to do that? To passive aggressively write all of that stuff and assume bad intentions of this person without even really talking to them? I don't know. It also launched into this discussion about how people should not just pick up a book and read it if they're gonna bash it and hate it, and how people need to stop creating negative content in order to get views. There was a person who was saying that I was actively pursuing books like it was a fucking action movie, and I was like, ooh, there's a shitty book, I'm gonna go ahead and grab it. I was actively pursuing books just so that I could make videos about them. I think there are a lot of people who do that, like Kat from Paperback Dreams, Caleb from Insane Reader. I so far have not done that yet because the books that I have trashed, they were given to me, like the book that the lady gave to me on the plane and the A Court of Thorns and Roses series that was gifted to me by a friend. So that was like not my choice. But I think even if it was, like even if I deliberately set out to only read trashy books so I could make fun of it, who cares? No one's putting a gun to your head and making you watch my video, right? Right? If you are being held hostage and being tortured to watch these videos, please let me know so I can send you some help, because nobody deserves that kind of suffering. I definitely do think that negative videos get a lot of views, but that's really on the audience. The videos I've made range a lot because there are some books that I have hated and I'll make a rant review about them. And then there are some books that I really loved and I'll make a video gushing about them. I did that for All the Light We Cannot See. I did that for Six of Crows. I did that for Crooked Kingdom. I did that for the Defy the Stars series. It's actually categorized as a romance book. I spent a whole video gushing about how the relationship was written so well. For Enchantment of Ravens, which is also considered a romance fantasy book, I gushed about that in my wrap-up. There's a balance of me dissing a book and also praising a book too. Not that it matters. Like if my entire channel was about me trashing a book, that would be okay too. But I'm just saying that I have both positive content and negative content. It just so happens that the negative content are the ones that get more views. But that's not on me, that's on you. I'm out here making cutesy vlogs and they get 6K views, but then I make a fucking book about how I hate fairy porn and that shit gets over 20K views. And that's not gonna stop me from making those cutesy vlogs because I genuinely enjoy editing them. I also enjoy talking about books that I love, so I'll keep on doing them. But it just so happens that people like the negative content better. In that case, it makes a lot of sense why there are some people who purposefully will pick up a book to trash it or only post negative content because that's what the audience has fed into. The whole discussion was just very ridiculous because it was kind of like policing what kind of videos you should make, and you should only make positive content. Just like how people were policing who gets to read romance books and who doesn't. And it's like, who gives a fuck? So again, I was thinking, why do people have no fucking chill? I feel like it boils down to two things, okay? The first is projection. A lot of times when people are upset about something that is not even related to them or whatever they're upset about at all, I think it comes from a place of projection. In the case of Book of the Month, I feel like a lot of people were insecure about being a small booktuber, not getting enough numbers, and so when they saw a bigger booktuber tweet about it, they assumed that it was an attack against them, but it was their own self-doubting voice that was telling them that rather than the truth. In the case of the romance readers who were upset by that, I think a lot of people feel shame or embarrassment about reading the genre because they feel like it's not respected enough by other people. So even though I made one book review about a book that happened to be romance, the fact that I wrote trash and romance next to each other triggered a lot of the romance readers because there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. When you are deeply insecure about something, it's easy to ignore the rest of the facts and the rest of the context. Instead, it becomes personal and it becomes about you. This is why I genuinely wish everybody in this world could get access to free therapy because we fucking need it. Honestly, don't be embarrassed by that shit, okay? Embrace the kinky shit that you like because I guarantee you, I have read and enjoyed so much worse, okay? I grew up reading shoujo manga, and if you've read shoujo manga, it is so much more problematic and nasty and ridiculous and whatever stereotype you can throw at the romance book genre. I've seen it all. I've seen worse and I've enjoyed worse. You don't gotta be embarrassed by it. You don't gotta be threatened by it. Just do you, you know? And if someone makes fun of it, who gives a shit? You know, they're just one person. You're not any lesser of a human being just because some random person on the internet seemingly made fun of something that you like. Like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm assuming that you can't afford therapy, so I'm gonna tell you right now, it's okay. And I think the second reason why this is happening is because, like I said before, when you become bigger on the internet, it gets very easy for people to not see you as a human being. Because I think if people did see me as a human being, then they could have easily just talked to me about it one-on-one. That's the downside of getting bigger so quickly on YouTube, is that people think that it's okay to talk so rudely and openly about you, assuming that you won't read it, or assuming that you're an asshole who doesn't have any feelings anyway, so who gives a shit? I was having this conversation with a few other friends who are smaller booktubers, and they were telling me that if I had 500 subscribers, nobody would give a shit. But now that I'm a bigger booktuber, people view me differently now because for some reason, the dumb shit that I say or do is all of a sudden representative of a bigger thing. When really, I mean, I started this channel as just like a dumb hobby, and to this day, it still is a dumb hobby. I just happen to have a few more people who are watching it. It's easier to just see somebody as a snarky asshole instead of an actual human being, because if you just see them as this caricature of the snarky asshole, then it's easier to hate them. It's easier to make them the bad guy so that you feel justified in feeling bad about yourself. I understand where people are coming from. I know that I don't need to take it personally because I know that everybody is struggling with something. If they feel upset enough to lash out in a certain way, they're probably dealing with something. There's something going on in their lives, just like how there's stuff going on in my life too. I try to be mindful of that and I try to be sympathetic with that. But at the same time, I don't like it when people project their feelings of inadequacy or their insecurities onto me, because it puts me in this really uncomfortable situation where this awkward shit happens. But I think that's just the nature of being on the internet, because when you are a person on the internet, it gets so much easier for people to not see you as like a living being. Instead, you are just this representation of whatever they can project onto you, which is why I think a lot of times there's such a dichotomy of the way that people view online figures. On one hand, there are people who really put me up high on a pedestal and think I'm like a fucking idol and I'm fucking hilarious or whatever. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum where people think I'm this snarky asshole and that I try too hard and that I'm purposely trying to get views or whatever. It's two different extremes because the internet is very extreme. I guess I just have to accept that because that's reality in society. I definitely do think though that because booktube is such a small niche, it becomes even more magnified, because I'm pretty certain that if I were a regular commentary channel, not that many people would be as pissed about me or think that I'm trying too hard to be funny or whatever. I was always unfunny from the beginning. It definitely makes me uncomfortable that now any little thing I do or any little thing that I say gets hyper analyzed and becomes representative of a bigger thing. I also think it's very easy for people to be resentful of anybody who gets success very quickly, whether that's success on a dumb fucking YouTube channel or even personal stuff that I've shared, like having a nice job, being able to pay off my loans. These are things that I have been very lucky and privileged to have done. But unfortunately, sharing them also makes it easier for people to be resentful of me for those things, which is understandable because it's a fucking rough economy out there. Student loans are such bullshit, and I think that is such bullshit for people to really struggle to find a good job. I'm definitely an anomaly in that case. It's much easier for people to be resentful of this one specific individual for getting those things rather than being resentful of the systemic problem. When you are an underdog, like when you are a slowly growing small channel, you're fucking awesome. You're fucking cool. You're underrated. You're a hidden gem. But then when you become bigger, you're an obnoxious asshole and you're trying too hard. It's kind of like when Jennifer Lawrence got big. In the beginning, everybody thought she was so fucking funny, but as she appeared more often on TV and as she got more interviews, people thought that she was trying too hard and people thought that she was so overrated. There was a very quick backlash to that. I am not surprised at all if somebody does not like me for whatever reason, because I do think that I blew up really quickly. When that happens, people are gonna feel some sort of way. I will say though that I have never ever asked for subscribers. I've never asked people to subscribe to my channel. Ever. If anything, I tell you guys to unsubscribe, and yet here you fucking are. I never meant for this channel to get bigger, but you know, here we are. And that's your fault too. You gotta shoulder the blame with me, okay? To close off this answer though, I do want to note that the examples that I brought up were really just from the small corner of the internet that is book Twitter. I think for the most part, booktube has been very positive. Obviously, I get majority positive comments and positive likes to dislike ratio, which I'm hoping is like a good thing, so I'm not like that terrible of a person maybe. For the most part, people are very supportive, which is nice, and I try to just keep that in mind. For every one person that gets upset about something, there are like 100 more that know who I am and know that I'm not trying to demean anybody or make you feel bad. I'm just making a silly, dumb video, and that's it. This is just one subset of my life. This is fun escapism for me, and I want to make sure that it stays that way. I'm not trying to be a crusader for anything. I just want to, you know, have fun. I'm just here to have a good time. Someone told me the other day, do you realize that you are the biggest Asian booktuber on this platform? Fuck, dude, I don't want that shit. Because I don't want it to mean anything, you know? I just want to, like, make fucking dumb videos, and that's it. Like, I don't want it to be representative of like the Asian community or people of color creators or whatever. The nice thing is that I have received so many more positive comments that are from people who were deeply impacted by, you know, my videos or things that I've said. They had a shitty day and then they felt like these videos got to cheer them up. That's what I want. At the end of the day, I just want this to be a very simple channel where I just make fun videos, and that's about it. Like, they don't have to be professional, they don't have to be a grander statement for anything. They can just simply be. So basically what I'm trying to say in this very long-winded answer is that these certain incidents have left kind of a bad taste in my mouth and have made me very jaded by the book Twitter community. But at the same time, I also know that for the most part, it is very positive, and it's really only a few individuals that make it a bigger thing than it needs to be. And that if I'm doing more good than harm, then we're chillin'. I will continue to do dumb videos. They might continue to piss people off, but I think that is just the nature of the internet. Okay, the sun is going down, so I need to blast through these questions really quickly. Have you ever made a video just because you knew it would get views? This is kind of like similar to what people were complaining about, that people just make negative content in order to get views. But I question, if you post a video, isn't the entire purpose of it to get views? Because if you just made a video for yourself, you would just upload it as a private video and only send it to a few people. But if you post it as a public video, and you have like a channel already, it's already meant to get views, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. I definitely do post videos with the intention of getting views. That's why the channel is public. There are some videos where I know will get more views than others, but I also post fun shit that I like to make too, like the travel vlogs that I do. They don't get as many views, and I know that, but I still do it anyway because, you know, why not? This is just for fun. If you could go back to the beginning of your channel, would you do anything differently? I've been having a lot of fun recently making the thumbnails for my videos, you know, picking out a pattern for the background and making it just like a more aesthetically pleasing thumbnail for you to click on. And so I guess if I had to do it all over again, I would have had more consistent and better thumbnails. Are there any channels you wish you could be more like? No, not really. I'm not really trying to be anything. Again, like, this is just a series of videos that I like to make for fun, and that's pretty much it. Okay, my room is a lot clearer now, so I will go ahead and answer the last question, which is, what's something you love about your channel? I don't know. I guess the flexibility for my channel to be very casual, like literally me sitting on the floor, folding my clothes while I talk to the camera, kind of casual. I don't need to have like this fancy background or this fancy camera equipment or anything. I'm used to maintaining a certain level of quality at my job, where as a designer, you literally have to make something aesthetically pleasing. Compared to this YouTube side hobby thing, I like that I can just sit on the ground, talk to the camera, and people will still watch for whatever reason. Basically, I love that it's fucking chill. I definitely don't expect people to like me, and I definitely understand why people would not like me, because I'm a fucking asshole. And while I do think it's weird that people would decide to spend their time watching videos from a person that they don't like, I mean, that's their choice too. Who knows? People are going through weird stuff in their life that we don't know about. I know I am too. I just hope that everyone is able to have healthier coping mechanisms, whatever you're dealing with, whether you're hate watching this video or whether you genuinely enjoy this video, whether you think I'm annoying or you think I'm an asshole, or whether you love this channel and you think this is funny. I hope that whatever you're dealing with will get better for you. I hope that you can remember that everybody is a human being and deals with personal shit that you might not know about, just like how you are dealing with personal shit that I don't know about. But even if you are not able to extend that kind of empathy for other people, I hope that you can at least do that with yourself. On that cheesy note, don't forget to unsubscribe from my channel, since I'm obviously a big bully, big booktuber who demeans other small booktubers. And I also actively oppress romance readers. I'm just a big problematic person. So if you haven't yet, be sure to unsubscribe. And on that note, goodbye.
I'm home alone tonight.